might be danger over here because people think that he has something to do with Pac. People think he has something to do with Biggie, and they right here in Brooklyn. You understand? It's right here in Brooklyn, and some of the people are still mad that he made Making of the Band walk to Brooklyn from, to get the cheesecake, and just around the corner from the cheesecake.
This didn't drop like a rumor. It landed like a grenade with Wi-Fi. 1 second the internet was arguing about yesterday's drama, and the next second 50 Cent allegedly pulled back the curtain and said, "Nah, y'all haven't seen this yet. Never before seen footage. Prison life. Diddy." Those 3 words alone were enough to make timelines freeze, refresh, and combust at the same time, because when 50 Cent hints at anything, it's never accidental. This isn't a man who whispers. This is a man who drops breadcrumbs, watches the internet set itself on fire, and then casually walks away like he didn't light the match. And the moment people heard prison footage, speculation went nuclear. Was it real? Was it leaked? Was it exaggerated? Or was this another masterclass in psychological trolling disguised as truth? Fans didn't wait for answers. They never do. They panicked, laughed, theorized, and screenshotted like the footage was about to self-destruct. Critics called it cruel. Supporters called it karma. Memes clocked in early, because nothing fuels dark humor faster than powerful figures allegedly losing control. This makes the Kardashians look like a silent meditation retreat, because what's unfolding here isn't just about footage. It's about power flipping, narratives collapsing, and one of hip-hop's most notorious rivalries suddenly feeling very one-sided. This saga didn't begin with a clean press release or a sober legal update. It began with a tease, a smirk, a breadcrumb tossed into the algorithm like bait. The moment 50 Cent hinted at never-before-seen footage tied to Diddy's alleged prison life, the internet didn't ask for paperwork. It reached for popcorn. Because when 50 speaks, it's never just commentary. It's a chess move wrapped in sarcasm, served cold, and designed to make everyone argue about what's real while he enjoys the chaos. Let's rewind the tape, because this didn't come out of nowhere. The tension between 50 Cent and Diddy has been simmering longer than a Netflix true crime series that refuses to end. Years of side eyes, slick captions, courtroom-adjacent headlines, and I'm just asking questions energy have built a rivalry that thrives on ambiguity. Every time the internet thinks it's over, another jab appears, sharper than the last. So when 50 hinted that footage existed showing Diddy's inside life, the implication alone did half the work. The word prison hit timelines like a bass drop. Not because anyone had verified anything, but because the suggestion itself flipped the power dynamic people love to watch collapse. The internet treats powerful figures like skyscrapers built on glass. Everyone waits for the crack, and 50 knows this. He knows how to frame a moment so it feels like a leak, even if it's just a whisper. That's the genius and the danger of his approach. He doesn't confirm. He implies. An implication travels faster than truth. Within minutes, fans were dissecting every syllable of his posts like they were decoding a ransom note. Screenshots zoomed in, captions analyzed, emojis treated like sworn testimony. Was he joking? Was he exaggerating? Was this metaphorical? Or was he hinting at something nobody was supposed to see? The ambiguity was the gasoline, and the internet happily struck the match. Supporters framed it as poetic justice. To them, this was the long-awaited role reversal. The mogul on the inside. The power stripped down to fluorescent lights and concrete floors. They spoke about accountability like it was a long-overdue season finale. Critics, meanwhile, accused 50 of cruelty, arguing that even hinting at prison footage crossed a line. But outrage only fed the machine. Every angry reply boosted the reach. Every defense multiplied the clicks. What made this moment especially volatile was how little confirmed information existed. There were no official statements, no verified sources, just a narrative being sculpted in real time by speculation and personality. And that's where 50 Cent thrives. He doesn't need receipts on day one. He lets the internet write the first draft, then steps back into correct, escalate, or twist it further depending on the reaction. It's content judo. Use the audience's momentum against itself. The idea of never-before-seen footage did something psychological. It suggested secrecy, surveillance, access. People imagined grainy clips, muffled audio, shadows moving in corridors. The mind filled in the blanks with cinematic flair. Suddenly, everyone was a director, crafting scenes that felt real enough to debate. And once imagery lives in people's heads, it's almost impossible to erase, even if it turns out to be exaggerated, symbolic, or straight-up trolling. Hip-hop culture amplified the moment. This wasn't just celebrity gossip. It was legacy warfare. Fans debated era's influence and who really holds power when money, fame, and public opinion collide. Some argued this proved 50 had outplayed everyone again, turning controversy into currency. Others insisted it cheapened the culture, reducing complex realities into viral stunts. Both sides talked past each other because the point was an agreement. The point was attention. Meanwhile, Diddy's name trended without him saying a word. Silence became suspicious. Every hour without a response felt louder than a press conference. People asked why he wasn't denying it outright. Others argued that responding would only legitimize the rumor. The vacuum invited imagination, and imagination doesn't need permission to run wild. In internet time, silence is a canvas. What really escalated things was how quickly the story detached from the original hint. Within hours, footage transformed into clips, then into leaks, then into full narratives about daily life routines and dynamics that no one could possibly verify. Reaction channels spun theories with confident voices and dramatic thumbnails. The algorithm rewarded certainty, not caution. The more outrageous the claim, the faster it spread. 50 Cent watched it unfold like a conductor letting the orchestra build tension. A follow-up post here, a sarcastic laugh there, just enough engagement to keep the fire alive without ever pouring water on it. He didn't need to explain. The internet was doing the heavy lifting for him. That's the brilliance and the menace of his strategy. He understands that controversy doesn't need facts to travel. It needs curiosity. As the first wave settled, one thing was clear. This wasn't about proving what the footage showed. It was about shifting perception. About reminding everyone who controls the narrative when stories turn dark. Whether real, exaggerated, or symbolic, the hint alone changed the conversation. It reframed power. It questioned legacy. And it set the stage for something bigger. Because once the idea of hidden footage exists, the audience doesn't stop asking if it's real. They start asking what else exists. And that question is far more dangerous than any clip could ever be. Once the tease metastasized into a full-blown conversation, the internet didn't slow down. It split into factions like a messy family reunion. With Wi-Fi on one side, you had people convinced the footage was real, hidden, and imminent, treating every 50-cent post like a countdown timer. On the other, skeptics laughed it off as master-level trolling, arguing that the real footage was the chaos he created along the way. Both sides agreed on one thing though. Whatever this was, it was working. Celebrity reactions slid in sideways. Vague enough to dodge responsibility, but loud enough to stir the pot. A few industry names dropped cryptic lines about truth always surfacing and energy coming back around, which fans immediately screenshot like evidence in a courtroom drama. Others stayed silent but liked comments that said everything, without saying anything at all. In internet court, likes are affidavits, emojis are testimony, and silence? Silence is motive. Then came the memes, because memes always arrive right when discomfort peaks. People joked about VIP units, studio sessions behind bars, and platinum plaques traded for commissary snacks. The humor was dark, exaggerated, and just disrespectful enough to go viral. Some laughed because it felt cathartic. Others laughed because they didn't know what else to do. A few called it tasteless, which somehow made the jokes spread faster. Outrage is just another algorithmic accelerant. 50 Cent, meanwhile, played the long game. He didn't dump a clip. He didn't clarify. He posted just enough to keep the speculation hydrated. A caption here, a repost there, a sarcastic jab that could be read 3 different ways depending on your mood. It was classic 50. Never confirm, never deny, always entertain. He understands something most people don't: mystery scales better than proof. The phrase "never before seen" did the heavy lifting. It implied access. It suggested someone, somewhere, wasn't supposed to have eyes on this. And that implication sent reaction channels into overdrive. Every creator suddenly had a source close to the situation, a breakdown of what the footage allegedly shows, or a timeline that explains everything. The contradictions were obvious. The confidence was not. Accuracy lost to audacity, and audacity paid rent. Public outrage took on a new flavor as the conversation widened. Critics accused 50 of exploiting suffering for laughs, arguing that prison real or rumored shouldn't be turned into content. Supporters fired back, saying satire has always been part of hip-hop's language and that powerful figures don't get immunity from jokes. The debate wasn't really about ethics. It was about power: who gets roasted, who gets protected, and who decides the line. Pop culture comparisons went feral. People likened the saga to true crime documentaries where the most unsettling parts are implied, not shown. Others compared it to reality TV cliffhangers that promise everything and reveal nothing, yet keep audiences glued anyway. Someone joked this made old rap beefs look like friendly sparring, and the line stuck because it captured the shift. This wasn't lyrical warfare. This was narrative warfare. The speculation got cinematic fast. People imagined grainy hallway shots, muffled conversations, routine disruptions, details invented entirely by collective imagination. And that's the trick. Once the audience pictures something vividly enough, it becomes emotionally real even if it never existed. The footage didn't need to drop. It already lived rent-free in people's heads. Diddy's continued silence became a character in the story. Supporters argued responding would legitimize nonsense. Critics insisted silence confirmed discomfort. Every hour without a denial felt louder. Every day without clarification fueled another round of theories. The vacuum became a megaphone, and the megaphone didn't need facts to amplify. What escalated everything was how normalized the speculation became. Scrolling past claims about inside life started to feel routine, like weather updates. People forgot to ask whether any of this was verified. They debated how it made them feel instead. And feeling, in the attention economy, shrank knowing every time. Industry insiders added gasoline with half sentences and eyebrow emojis. Old interviews resurfaced, stripped of context and repurposed as foreshadowing. Past jokes were reframed as clues. The internet built a mosaic out of fragments and called it a portrait. Meanwhile, 50 watched the mosaic grow, occasionally nudging a tile just to see the reaction. By the end of this phase, the story had fully detached from its origin. It wasn't about whether footage existed anymore. It was about the idea that it could, about the thrill of imagining power inverted, about the satisfaction of seeing untouchable figures suddenly feel touchable. And once that feeling takes hold, it doesn't matter what's real. It matters what resonates. When the speculation finally stopped sprinting and settled into a slow, heavy march, the consequences started to show. Not the flashy kind that trend for a day, but the quiet shifts that change how people are seen, talked about, and remembered. Because whether the footage ever existed or not almost stopped mattering. The damage, or the transformation depending on who you ask, was already done. The narrative had moved. And once a narrative moves, it doesn't ask permission to take things with it. For 50 Cent, the aftermath looked exactly like what happens when you weaponize ambiguity with precision. His image didn't crack, it sharpened. Supporters praised him as a master provocateur, someone who understands the internet better than the internet understands itself. To them, he didn't need to show anything. The reaction was the content. The outrage was the reveal. Critics accused him of manipulation, of turning serious implications into spectacle, but even those criticisms fed the myth. Because the one thing everyone agreed on was this: he controlled the room without ever raising his voice. Diddy's public perception, on the other hand, shifted in a way silence couldn't fully contain. Even without confirmation, the idea of inside life attached itself to his name like static. People spoke about him differently. more cautiously, more conspiratorially. Every past controversy felt heavier. Every old clip got reinterpreted through a darker lens. This is the danger of implication. Once the image changes in the public mind, facts have to work twice as hard just to be heard. The silence that once protected now felt like a risk. Supporters argued that responding would only legitimize nonsense, but detractors claimed the lack of denial allowed imagination to run wild. And imagination did exactly that. The story stopped being about footage and started being about vulnerability. The idea that even the most untouchable figures could be framed as touchables shook something loose in the culture. It reminded people that status doesn't stop speculation. It attracts it. Industry relationships felt the ripple effects too. People moved differently. Jokes got quieter. Subtweets got subtler. Everyone watched how quickly a narrative could spiral without a single, verified clip. And it made them cautious, not scared, calculating. Because if implication alone could create this much noise, what happens when something real drops? The ecosystem adjusted in real time. Fans also changed their posture. The blind enthusiasm cooled into something more skeptical. People still watched, but they watched differently, with side eye, with disclaimers, with that unspoken understanding that nothing online is as simple as it looks. The audience learned again that they don't need proof to feel impact. They need a story that scratches an itch they didn't know they had. The cultural conversation expanded beyond two names and into something larger. How much power does a narrative hold when it doesn't need verification to spread? When does satire blur into suggestion? Where is the line between commentary and character assassination? Nobody agreed on the answers, but the questions stuck. They lingered in comment sections, podcasts, and group chats long after the original post stopped trending. What made this chapter unsettling was how normalized it all became. Speculation turned routine. Implication turned casual. People debated inside live scenarios with the same tone they used to argue sports stats. The gravity drained out of the conversation, replaced by entertainment value. And that shift revealed something uncomfortable about the audience itself. We don't just consume stories anymore. We participate in building them, whether we mean to or not. For 50, the strategy proved something he's always understood. You don't have to win the argument. You just have to frame it. By never fully confirming or denying, he let the audience do the work, filling gaps with their own assumptions and biases. The result was a narrative that felt personal to everyone watching, because everyone helped write it. For Diddy, the episode became another layer added to an already complicated public legacy. Not a verdict, not a conclusion, just a shadow that changed how light hit the image. Even if nothing materialized, the moment would still be referenced, still be brought up as that time when. And in the court of public opinion, references matter almost as much as facts. The most lasting impact wasn't outrage or humor. It was awareness. Creators, celebrities, and fans all saw how quickly a hint could snowball into a cultural event. They saw how silence can amplify, how sarcasm can sharpen, how the internet doesn't wait for clarity, it creates its own data. As the story cooled, it didn't resolve, it recalibrated. No footage dropped, no definitive statements closed the case. Instead, the saga settled into that dangerous space where stories don't end, they hibernate, waiting for the next nudge, the next caption, the next spark. Because once the idea of hidden truth is planted, it never really goes away. It just waits for the right moment to resurface, louder and harder to control. Now, if you stayed all the way through this, congratulations, you just survived one of the messiest psychological chess matches the internet has seen in a minute. Because this wasn't just about footage or rumors or who said what first. This was about how fast a single hint can flip power, rewrite perception, and turn the entire timeline into a courtroom with zero rules and unlimited opinions. So now it's your turn. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think 50 Cent is playing 4D chess? Or did this whole situation cross a line that shouldn't be crossed? Was this genius-level trolling, strategic narrative control, or straight-up reckless chaos dressed up as humor? Don't be shy, say it with your chest. Respectfully, unhinged takes are welcome here. And don't just watch this and disappear like you didn't enjoy the ride. Smash that like button like it owes you money and just try to block you on all platforms. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because stories like this don't end, they reload. One post, one caption, one sarcastic laugh, and the whole thing erupts all over again. This channel exists for moments exactly like this. We don't just repeat headlines, we break down the moves behind them. We read between the captions, connect the dots nobody wants to touch, and call out the games being played in plain sight. When the internet starts acting brand new, we keep the receipts fresh and the commentary sharper. Scandals don't take days off. Power doesn't like being questioned. And the truth? It rarely shows up without drama attached. So stay locked in, stay curious, and stay ready because the next ripple is already forming under the surface. Right